Nom Nom delivers fresh food with whole ingredients backed by veterinarian science. Science tells us that a dog's health starts in the bowl, so improving their diet is one of the best ways to help them live a long and happy life. Nom Nom's food is full of proteins your dog loves and the vitamins and nutrients they need to thrive. All you have to do is order, pour, and serve. Ready to make the switch to fresh? Order Nom Nom today. Go to https://trynom.com/curveball and get 50% off your first order plus free shipping. That's https://trynom.com/curveball. Plus, Nom Nom comes with a money-back guarantee. If your dog's tail isn't wagging within 30 days, Nom Nom will refund your first order. No fillers, no nonsense, just Nom Nom. Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Hello and welcome to another episode of Living the Dream with Curveball. I am your host, Curveball, and today I am joined by a special guest. She is Portia Mason. She lost her sight at the age of 14, wanted to become a nurse, but even though that wasn't possible due to the loss of her sight, she did not let that stop her. So we're going to be talking about all the things she is doing, all the things she has accomplished, and we're going to be talking about Vision 100, what that is, what that entails, and what they're doing. Portia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, well, thank you. It's a pleasure. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Why don't you start off by giving us a little bit of background about yourself?
Well, like you said, I lost my sight when I was 14 years old, but let's see, where should I begin? I don't want to go too far back. I have congenital glaucoma, and that's the cause of my vision loss. I was born with glaucoma, and I was able to at least remember a lot of things that doing as a sighted person would do, but with someone that had limited vision, I was able to do some things. I enjoyed a lot of things like riding bikes, had one bike, and I was able to do that. And then I think it really scared my mom in the beginning when I first got it. And she was like, oh, that worries me. But she did let me have the bike, and I had that. I enjoyed coloring. And I think at one point I wanted to try to play baseball, and I just couldn't see to get, I would see the ball being thrown, but I just couldn't visualize it like coming at me to where I could hit it. But I like watching it, and I love basketball. And when I lost my eyesight, because my dream was to be a nurse, and a friend of mine told me, that's not possible. How would you be able to change a baby's diaper if you're blind? You don't want to have any problems with changing their diaper and possibly stick a pin in them. You never know. And I wanted to work in the labor and delivery department, so I couldn't do that. And so I had to take a second option, which was medical transcription. And it was a really hard sell for me in the beginning, because I thought, well, it seems like there should be a way for me to do it. But a friend of hers, which I was introduced to, she was totally blind, and she was a medical transcriptionist at the time. And she said, look, this is what I'm doing. I had to learn to accept that there are challenges and that there are things that I cannot do, but at least I have the ability to still be able to work in the medical field and help out. You're still going to be giving back in that way. And I was able to do medical transcription. I worked at Edwards Air Force Base once I finished college. And I did that for about almost 2 years as a medical transcriber and also general office assistant. And I did it even though I was totally blind. I had help with my work just to make sure everything was correct and all of that, because I was still learning. I didn't have a certificate, nor did I have a degree. when they hired me, they just hired me based on what I already knew and was willing to learn. And I was grateful for that job. My heart was set to go into a university and work on my degree in business management. I graduated with a degree in business administration. And once the job came along, that scratched that off. So I didn't go back. So here I am now. Don't know how much more you want me to go farther with it.
Well, let me just say I have genital congenital glaucoma as well. And I've been blind since birth. And they tried 3 cornea transplants. They all failed. Also, I have 2 kids, one 8 and one 5. And I've been changing diapers. Well, I don't have to do it now, but when they were little, I did. So the question I have for you is, how much of this stuff that you didn't think that you could do or didn't think that was possible at the time, are you able to do now, or that you at least realize that is possible now?
When I first lost my eyesight, I faced the challenges of, well, how am I going to be able to do this? And I wanted to be a parent. I'm not a parent now. I'm a pet parent. I'm not a parent to a child, but the challenges that I faced then, like, well, how am I going to be able to cross the street? How am I going to be able to do it? I need to be able to hear the traffic. I need to be able to recognize which way it's going. I need to recognize all that. I remember the first time that I crossed streets and I was scared to death. I don't do it that much anymore, but given, how people drive nowadays, so it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. But, I will get assistance across the street. It just depends on the intersection that I'm crossing that I'll do it. But back then I was really scared, and it took a little getting used to, even like going into the mall and shopping for the first time on my own. And I had a mobility instructor said, okay, I want you to find this store, look for that store, and I'll meet you there. And I remember when I went to look for that store, and every time I would ask, can you tell me which way that store is? I need to know where JCPenney is, for example. Oh, it's down that way. Just go over this direction. Which way? I'm totally blind. I can't see. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me see. Well, if you walk down, just maybe a few doors down, it'll be down that way. And, okay, thank you. Bye. It used to irritate me when people didn't know exactly how to give you directions. And I would get so frustrated. And my teacher said, you're going to have to get to the point where you're going to have to learn a lot of this on your own. And you need to stop relying on people to help you, because they're not going to always be there. And I had a hard time accepting that. But I later accepted it, because I know that now it's important to me to look at, okay, there's a landmark here at this particular place, so I can be able to make it to 7-Eleven. I know that I don't have that far to go, and I don't have to worry about it, because that landmark is not going to go nowhere. But I had to learn that. I had to learn to really learn some independence on my own, really learn how to cook, learn how to use a computer. Some things I need help with, some things I don't, because I know in a lot of ways I need these things. I needed to learn how to use my own phone. I can't depend on somebody else to dial the phone number for me. I have voiceover. If I need to ask a question, it's there. I had to learn to face that. Back then, it was really hard. I wanted to be able to have my vision. I wanted to be able to do those things, but I knew that there was just nothing I could do about it. I had to be able to adapt. And nowadays, for a lot of people, it's harder for them to adapt to being totally blind or have limited vision. It's really hard. I look at, like in your case, being that you never had sight before, you don't know what things really look at. And I talk to people and I go, well, how do you know what colors are? I mean, I count myself blessed to be able to do that. But at the same time, I feel for a lot of people that don't know the concept of colors unless you give them something to look at, like an ice cube. And you say, all right, here's an ice cube. That's blue. So that will let you know that it's cold. Ice cube is cold. If you give them something hot, okay, well, that's red. A blade of grass, that's green. You know that the dollar bill is green. So you give them something to identify. but I never had it like that because I was able to see it. So yeah, it's a different world that we live in, but we have to learn to adapt to a lot of things and be able to move forward.
Well, let me just say two things here. The first one is I learned through my training with the
Hmm.
National Federation for the Blind to kind of cut down on people just saying this way, that way, or,
Right.
not really giving you any useful information whenever they start doing that, then you kind of turn and try to point and try to get them to cut it down and be specific. That is one way to do that. And the second thing is, I used to ride a bike when I was little, and we kind of
Oh
lived in
my
a country
goodness.
town. So there would be cars on the side of the road. So what I would do is I would walk up and down the street, both sides, to make sure that there was nothing there. And we were
Right.
in the country, but I did make it work. Not to say I didn't have some bumps and bruises sometimes, but
Right.
I was actually able to ride a bike. I taught my brother how to ride a bike. So I,
Oh
I
my
worked on that
goodness.
bike thing too. Now, the
Wow.
question I have for you is, did you receive any kind of training to be able to adapt and accept that, you were going to have to figure things out? Did you receive any kind of center training from any one of the
No,
organizations?
no, I did not. A lot of the training I learned through like some of my visually impaired teachers. I learned some of the cooking skills, mobility skills. I learned because I went through a public school system. I did not go through a blind school program. So I was able to mainstream, still be able to be in a regular classroom with other students, but there was time set aside for me to go to the resource room, or if you will, a visually impaired room. Nowadays, that's what it's called, because back then it was called the resource room, and you would learn different skills, or that was giving you time to where you didn't do the same things in the same pace as regular students. You would do your assignments, and they're using, say that, like in my case, when I was younger, I used a CCTV before I learned how to read Braille. I did that for a while. And then when I started learning how to read Braille, I was 9 years old. So I still had some sight, and I learned all of that. But like I said, I did it through the public school system. I had the opportunity of going to a skills program. There's a center up in San Pablo, but I can't think of the name of it right now. Somebody had told me about it the other day, and that was my opportunity to do that when I graduated in 1988 from high school. And I was going to do that. And I said, no, I'm going to go to college. I don't really want to do that. I had that opportunity to do that since I was already skilled at cooking a little bit. I already had some mobility skills. I didn't feel I needed to go any farther. That was that.
So going through college, how hard was it trying to make it through school? Because I know when I first went, it was kind of hard to get stuff for accessibility, the different books. They may or may not have it. And, you're trying to depend on readers. How hard was that for you when you went first
Oh,
time for your business degree?
now back in the 90s, it was a little bit more easier than, because I started college in 1988 and I didn't graduate until 1993. So back then, it was a little bit more easier because there were people that volunteer their time to put the books on tape, to give you the exams. If you needed a note taker to come to class with you, I had a note taker for a couple of classes that I took. I took a freshman composition class. So the person that was my tutor, she would sit in the class with me and help me write out my assignments, because at the time they did a lot of classwork. And same for when I was taking math, I had tutors to help me with that. Speeding it up a little bit more to now, since I am a returning college student and I started in 2015. It is a little bit more difficult right now. Reason being is that when you need things to be accessible for you, and you have issues with the disabled student services program, and sometimes they don't want to provide the assistance, so you pretty much have to do it on your own. Now, like I have Bookshare, I use that service when I need to get my books. I have the ability to use apps. If I can't find the book there, then I could probably find it with other apps that I have. But I have that ability. I know that a lot of people that take classes such as math, because I'm not really taking any math classes. I take more, like I said, I'm taking the child development class, and we're doing it online until things open back up, because we're in the pandemic, of course, so things are not quite open. So I had a little bit of a challenge with using the Canvas program last semester. Hopefully, when I go back in the fall, it won't be so difficult, because they're willing to work with me in making necessary changes so that whatever assignments that the rest of the class get, I will have an alternate assignment to do, because some of it requires vision, some of it requires drawing and whatnot. And it wouldn't be prudent for me to be doing something like that because somebody else would get the credit and then I wouldn't be able to get the credit. So they're willing to work with me on that.
So let's talk about, I know you want to work with kids. So I know you said at first, you wondered how you would change the diaper. So if a child development job came up at like a daycare or something, do you feel like you would be able to do those things that you were worried about not being able to do at first? And how did you learn how to do them if you feel like you can do them now? Things like change diapers, feeding.
The only time that I ever really did diapering, I helped take care of a friend's baby when I was going to my grandmother's church. And I had that experience only maybe once or twice. That, and when my mom was taking care of someone's child and I helped her with diapering. But, that was when she had to use the cloth diapers. But, nowadays, you're not having to worry about so much with cloth diapers. But I think for me, if accommodations are made, because, I believe in the ability to have accommodations given to you in no matter what capacity you're in, that it could be done with some assistance and somebody can help me. But my goal, I'm not really looking at daycare per se. I love to work with young children and teaching them Braille skills so that they can learn Braille, especially like kids that are young as 3 years old and they're just losing their eyesight or have lost their eyesight. And they want to learn, they want to have those skills so that when they go into an elementary school program, they'll be prepared. I would like to do that. That is something I would love to do. I haven't really thought about working in a daycare program, but if wherever to be that I could do something like that, then I will take that opportunity to do it and work with kids. But it would have to be on a small scale for now until I'm ready to work on a larger scale.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about Vision 100. Explain to us what Vision 100 is and what your role is and how you're trying to give back to the community with that.
Oh, wow. What I love about Vision 100 is that, first of all, we are a community. We have people that are not just visually impaired, but people that are sighted as well. So it's not exclusively for people that are visually impaired. And I will say that Vision 100 began as a concept, that it was an idea that, of course, my friend Jose Tamayo came up with, and it was his idea in the beginning. And, it started with just him coming up with that idea. And now it has expanded to where we have more than 10 to 12 cities representing here in the US. And the number 100, this is what we mean by the number 100, is that we want to be able to have cities from all over the country, 100 cities representing. And in each one of those cities, we have people that are doing something from home to where they have goals and dreams that they want to set, and we help them to reach those goals. They can make some money by doing it. They can be able to have something to where their families can benefit from it, passing it down the line. My goal for me is I want to travel. I love traveling. I like to be able to take a cross-country trip on a train to visit places. Even go visit my family. I have family that live in the Midwest in Michigan, and I'd like to go see them again, maybe go to Canada. But our goal is just to help as many people that want to help themselves. The founder of the company that I represent said that it's all about people, and that's what we're here to do. It's not about the products and services that we're offering, but it's just helping people, because right now, especially in the visually impaired community, and I know it's across the board, not just in the visually impaired community, but the fact is that the unemployment rate is high. And especially like right now with the pandemic, people are trying to find a job, or it's not time for them to go back to work because of the pandemic. Companies are still closed. We don't know how long it's going to be before they open. I've heard it will be in June, but in the meantime, at least people are able to make something from home, make a little money from home. Some people may want to expand on that and say, I want to be able to get away from governmental assistance, because for some people, you're having to live hand to mouth, and it's really difficult. Like here in California, the housing market is high. People want to be able to buy a house. People want to be able to have extra money to do things. We had a gentleman that used to be a part of our community before he passed away, and he said that all he really wanted to do was to be able to take his family for ice cream. If he just have enough money to do that, that's what he wanted to do. He was raising foster children, and he wanted to just do that. Just that simple thing is enough for him, that he wanted to do that. And it's simple enough that a child can do it, when you're talking about m-commerce or mobile commerce, because nowadays a lot of people are on a fast-paced thing. So, you have your mobile device and you're able to shop on your mobile device to buy things. And that's what we're here to do, is to help people to where they can get the products and services that they need for their home. And the products are environmentally safe and organic. And, the concept is just being able to, give people a chance to have a better life. I know that it's helped me to where it's changed my mindset about a lot of things. We have an educational program that really helps a lot of people have a better understanding of why it is the way it is with businesses, because you cannot expect a get rich scheme to really help you. There's nothing out there. Some people will paint a big picture and it doesn't really work. It takes time. It's just like that bamboo tree, if you will, that when you plant it in the ground, you got to be able to water it and nurture it in order for it to grow. And that's the same thing with our community. We want to be able to grow to be the largest community, not only just here in this country, but globally. And that's what our hope is.
Have you guys seen an increase of people wanting to join and link up with you guys during the pandemic, since people have been at home?
We've had a couple of people recently, just a few people recently, that joined in our community. And when people come in, they love what they hear. They love the atmosphere. We're not just all about business. We're there to socialize, and we're a family. We have a lot of brotherly and sisterly love in our family. We're there to encourage one another when something happens with one of our members of our family. We're there to encourage them and help them through it. So it's not like, we're going to hand something to someone and say, all right, here you go. Bye. See you later. No, we're there to help each other. And the other thing is that if someone has an idea to share, it helps the other people in the group as well. So we're able to do that.
Well, I know that you guys even have socials like movie nights and all that good stuff.
Yes. I mean, you were there at the night that we had movie night, and we were planning on doing more of that. We had a talent show some months ago where some of us were able to share our talents. We had one of the ladies that's part of the group. She wrote a poem and she was able to read that. One of the other ladies, she does acting. I know she's taken some classes through the NFB where they do acting thing, but I can't remember what it is exactly. She was able to do a little bit of a skit that she wrote. So, each of us has talents. And I think all of us, no matter who we are, we have special gifts, and we should be able to share it so that other people can see that. If you don't, it's not going to ever come out. And I love the fact that we have musicians in our team. We have poets. We have people that are crafty, like myself. I love doing handmade crafts. And, we like just sharing things that it's going to help encourage others out there and say, hey, I'd like to see what you guys got. I'd like to come in and check that out. So, we love that.
Well, speaking of coming in and checking it out, if somebody wanted to join up with Vision 100, let us know how, and also give us your contact information if people want to connect and follow what you're doing and know more about you.
People are most definitely They can connect with me. I can get in, give them their information. We have a Zoom meeting that's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and we have other platforms that we're sharing the information in. Someone else comes in and they talk about the opportunity so that they can hear it. But my contact information, they can either email me or they can give me a call. My number, can I give my information here?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay.
Give Vision
All right.
100 as a website, give out that
Well,
information.
we don't have a website yet. So, but in the meantime, what I will do is I will give my information and then we can help them further with learning more about where we're at and what we're doing. My email is knitangel.pm @yahoo.com. So it's knitangelpm@yahoo.com. And then my phone number is 323-335-8181. Once again, 323-335-8181. And I'll be more than happy to speak to anybody that would love to learn more about Vision 100. And we always say it's not for everybody, but it's for people that are really, really looking to dream big and do big things in their life, not only for themselves, but for their family that they're looking, especially those that really want to be like the gentleman. Like I said, he wanted to take his family for ice cream, do the simplest things. Summertime is coming. A lot of people want to travel, and I'm sure a lot of people would love to be able to, sorry about my roommate's birds, but want to be able to travel and do things, and they want to be able to make that extra money to do that. So we're willing to do that, is to be able to hook them up and get them started. So, hey.
No problem. About the birds. What kind of bird is it?
My roommate has 2 birds. They're both cockatiels, but they want attention.
They can talk too. Those things are pretty expensive. So let me just ask you real quick. Ask you real quick. You got the name Knit Angel. You doing some crocheting over there?
I'm learning how to crochet a little bit. It's taken me a little bit more time to learn that than it is knitting. When I learned how to knit, I was in high school, I believe in my freshman or sophomore year, and I was taking a sewing class. At the time, they didn't have sewing machines that were adapted like they do now. I know that there's the Crafters Corner division of the NFB, and I got involved in that, and I learned that, oh yeah, you can sew, you can use a sewing machine. I was like, oh my goodness, I want to do that so bad. But I learned how to do knitting when I was in high school. The first thing that I learned was a scarf. So I've been knitting for more than 30 years. So there's different kinds of crafts that I want to learn. And I find it very relaxing. It's very therapeutic to me. I really enjoy it. I've been able to give things away to different charities that I belong to at some point in time. I want to go back and do it again.
Absolutely. You got any final thoughts before we close it out?
Well, I really just want to say to those that are listening that, don't, allow yourself to get to the point where you can say, I can't do it. I don't have the ability to do it, because you can. A lot of times we put stumbling blocks in front of us, and figure out what you want to do. If there's something that you want to do and you enjoy it, don't just do something because it's there. And that's what a lot of people do. They pick out something and they get discouraged real easily because it really wasn't something that they intended to do. Find something that you can enjoy and just do it. Just get in there and do it. And as I said, if anybody is interested in learning more about Vision 100 or just would like to talk to me, get to know me, hey, hit me up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Portia Mason. Portia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. This was great.
And listeners, please be sure to follow, rate, review, tell a friend after listening. For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.